You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
It is time for happy hour. It is the Man Cave Happy Hour. Whiskey, cigars, spirits, and the stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
I am Matthew Fox.
And we are once again uninvited.
Very much so. Hey, I gotta tell you.
Unannounced.
We are very unannounced.
Under construction.
They have no idea what's happening.
No. The waitress keeps going, you keep on setting up more electronics, gentlemen. What exactly are you doing? We're making a podcast, lady.
But we're somewhere new we haven't been before.
We haven't. We're at the Hamlin Pub, the Rochester location of the Hamlin Pub here in Michigan.
Yes.
And they have it's a nice pub. It's a nice Irish-themed pub. They pour a perfect pint. It makes me crazy when people don't pour a proper pint of Guinness.
Jamie.
Proper pint.
The carpet is plaid. Tell me, are we in an Irish pub?
Hey, the pants! No! Yeah, so I just screamed that in the bar. People looked, sorry. But we have something special today, too. We also have a guest. It was the first time we're going to try to take a phone call.
Yes.
On a remote.
Yes.
While we're podcasting. So we're going to give Beth a call and see how this works.
I'm very excited to talk to Beth.
I'm very excited, too.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bourbon.
Yes.
And we're going to drink a little whiskey.
We got a nice whiskey coming.
Hello, Beth.
Yeah.
Hey, hi. It's Jamie and Matthew. We're here. We're plugged in and we're recording. We're out and about at a bar, and so if you hear a lot of background noise, if it's hard to hear us, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah. In true Man Cave Happy Hour form, we're doing this during a happy hour.
Sure.
So thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so Beth Underwood, you are the author of a book 1, 2, and 3 called Talk Bourbon to Me, as well as an accompanying Facebook page and a website. And you are not necessarily an aficionado, but a fanatic when it comes to bourbon. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Beth, where did your fondness for bourbon begin?
Well, actually, it begins out of blatant curiosity, to tell you the truth, because I was actually raised here in Kentucky, and as I say that, I also didn't know a whole lot about bourbon, and I'm embarrassed to admit that, but I know a lot now. Or at least I'd like to think I do, so we can, hopefully forgive me for that oversight of my youth. But as I was, just sort of paying attention to my surroundings here in Kentucky several years ago, it's hard not to notice the bourbon boom that was going on.
Right.
And as I started, hitting a few of the distilleries and doing some tastings and getting to know a few people, I thought, I need to probably educate myself in this a little bit more, because I found that people, as soon as they found you were from Kentucky, the first question is, oh, well, you must love bourbon. So, if I was going to represent it, I wanted to do so at least with some manner of authority. And so I began exploring and asking questions and hooking up with as many people as I could. And, it just the book sort of fell in my lap, really.
So, all right, that leads us to the book, and the book Talk Bourbon to Me. Talk to me about Talk Bourbon to Me. What are people going to find when they pick up the book?
Well, the first book, which came out late 2016, was based on a book I found in the public domain, which was written in 1808.
Wow.
And that book is the practical art of distilling. And so what I did is I took that entire book and used it as my base, and then built up with current facts. I did my best to bring it 200 years forward and talk to people a little bit about what's happening in the current bourbon world. So you could pick it up, and if you were so inclined, you could take bourbon from the barrel itself all the way through to the bottling. The book tells you everything there is to know. But along the way, it's honestly extremely dry reading. So I came in with all of these tidbits that I could find on bourbon, asking people what some of the biggest misnomers were within the bourbon community, and sort of built just a fun read, I think. And I threw in a few good recipes at the end of every chapter.
Nice.
And it's really opened up a different conversation, because I think a lot of people in Kentucky find bourbon a little bit intimidating. And I think that when you take a lighter approach to it, it becomes something that you're not afraid to talk about, and something that you're able to really have a lot of fun with. Because ultimately, that was my goal. I wanted people to pick up the book, have fun reading it. You know, you can pick it up and read a page or two and put it down.
Right.
Then pick it up whenever you have time. And then as far as Talk Bourbon to Me 2 goes, it took on a life of its own as well. And basically, the more I worked on the book, the more I realized that the book was really about the spirit of hospitality that comes along with bourbon.
Wow.
And with the help of, again, you know, the experts in the bourbon world, I was able to take hospitality in the bourbon industry back to its roots, which many people, including myself, believe it started with Colonel E.H. Taylor, and then bring it forward into 2018 when we've got, the world is Kentucky's oyster, pretty much. You know, the bourbon distillery and the bourbon industry is not only in Louisville and Frankfort and Bardstown area, but now we've got distilleries in Danville, and we've got distilleries up in northern Kentucky. And it's, really sort of becoming a statewide phenomenon, really.
Oh, yeah.
And you can find, if you look through, you can find that spirit of hospitality at every single distillery you go to. No two visits are alike.
No.
Every place is different. Every place has their own signature, their own stories to tell, their own way of doing things.
You know,
and so
Go ahead.
I just tried to bring that spirit of hospitality alive. And the stories in here are so endearing. It's just a phenomenal read to learn about some of these people.
You know, that's one of the things that we've actually learned here in Michigan. You know, there are a number of distilleries around here, and when we go and visit their distillery, you know, everybody has a unique story. Great stories, and their origins and how they came up with certain recipes themselves. You know, and then to put it into book form, you know, tell me about that process and some of the other, research that you had to do when you were writing the book on Talk Bourbon to Me on the second one.
Well, this probably goes without saying, but when you're researching bourbon, there is no such thing as a dull day. And probably the most fun I had, one of the most interesting days, let's put it this way, was when I attended Moonshine University.
Okay.
Now, several years ago, if you would have told me such a school existed, I would have had a hearty laugh over that.
Hey, I went to pizza college, so, you know, I was in my early 20s. I did Domino's Pizza, and I went to pizza college. So that there's a Moonshine University, I believe you.
I'm a Little Caesars guy, too. Yeah.
And it is a phenomenal place, let me tell you. It's just... They have a staff on hand who, of course, you know, their knowledge of the bourbon world from the Coopers here in Kentucky, all the way through to the bottling. They know their stuff like nobody's business.
What's your most surprising story that you found? That's something that really surprised you.
You know, I think one of the things that surprises me most are some of the myths about bourbon that are really rooted in people's brains, and there are two that stick out. One of them is that not all people realize that all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. Mm-hmm. And then the second myth that's out there is that a lot of people still believe that if it's not made in Kentucky, it's not bourbon.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And as you guys know, that's just patent on cross. It does have to be made in America.
Right.
But it's very surprising to see how many people still think that you can't make bourbon unless you make it in Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. So, out of those recipes, right? You said at the end of each chapter you include a recipe. What's one of your favorite recipes? What's like for a hot summer day?
Well, my mother's mint julep. Go ahead.
So, how do you make that?
She, actually, I tell you what, I'll send you guys the recipe because they get it wrong off the top of my head. But it's a fairly involved process with oranges and lime, or oranges and lemons and some spices and some boiling over the stove for quite some time, and then eventually getting it down to a simple syrup.
Really?
And then basically the simple syrup and, of course, whatever bourbon you fancy, a little bit of mint smothered in the bottom, and you top it off with ginger ale.
Oh, that sounds like an advanced recipe for sure.
That sounds like moonshine college stuff right there. What that sounds like.
Well, you know, there's always the lemonade and bourbon, and that's pretty. You can do like the Arnold Palmer tea.
Yep.
And just add a shot or two of bourbon to it. That's pretty darn tasty, too.
That's perfect for a golf course is what that is.
Yeah, and that's very simple. But one of my favorites, and I think this one's I've got two really good snack recipes, one in each book, and they are addicting. When you add bourbon to something as simple as a pretzel mix, look out. It's just delicious. And you can't keep it just goes like hotcakes. I take it to book signings. Hugely popular.
Well, so all right, so you're down there.
Happy to send you a couple.
You're down there in Kentucky. You're a little closer to the promised land there, and the madness of this boom in the last 2 years. But what's going on? We got floods, we got fires, we got collapses. What the heck is going on in bourbon country? It sounds like the walls are tumbling down.
Well, it really does, doesn't it? However, I was listening to a buddy of mine who actually helped on the second book, Brian Hara, and he wrote a great book. If any of you guys are interested in a little bit of legalese where bourbon is concerned, called Bourbon Justice. But anyway, he was talking. Excuse me. He was talking about how, historically speaking, these distillery fires and injuries were fairly frequent.
Oh, yeah.
The was they just didn't get the attention. Certainly, when all eyes are on your state, and they're on it oftentimes for, if it's not for basketball, it's for bourbon. So with more eyes, I think, on the state for that, you do have a lot more concern. And it certainly is. I think the last numbers I heard on the fire at, it was actually the Jim Beam was, those barrels are at the Old Crow Distillery, or what used to be the Old Crow Distillery,
right.
Out just right down the road from the revamped Castle and Key.
Right.
And the last totals I heard were that it was a $50 million loss and 45 million of that was in the bourbon.
Oh my gosh.
I heard that they were insured. I heard they were covered. But they hadn't put a number out yet. So that's 45 million, 50 million total. That's
That's a lot.
amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it? And I mean, just to think, when you say 45,000 barrels, if you've lost 5,000 barrels, that's a lot of barrels.
That's a lot of barrels.
That is a big rickhouse for sure. So is there anything
really is.
anything on the horizon? Any bourbon news? Any tidbits from being down there near the epicenter?
Well, the new Bullet facility has opened in Shelbyville.
Ooh,
Nice.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with they got the Shadley, Louisville location,
Right.
which is really an old school feel to it. Fabulous place. Carol Carey is there to greet you when you come in at the guard shack. If you haven't been there, you've got to go there.
I don't think
I
I don't think they've solved the mystery as to where Mr. Bullet actually has a because I guess the great grandfather disappeared and no one knows where he is, and his great grandson had great grandson salvaged the recipe and brought Bullet bourbon back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they haven't found him yet though. But for them to open up a new distillery, that's great. In Shelbyville, you said?
It's in Shelbyville, and it's right on the interstate. I'm not sure. I know that they have a rick house there, and I believe that they are doing some innovative storage there as well.
awesome.
Their visitor center it just looks spectacular. I'm hoping to get over there in the next couple of weeks. I believe it opens mid to late June. So it should be a fabulous facility. It's right there by close to Deptford Creek. Okay. And, so you could easily hit those two in the morning or in an afternoon if you wanted to. So there's that. And for a lot of your listeners who are not in Kentucky, if you come down and you take a tour,
Right.
the Kentucky Bourbon Boys I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they put together some fabulous packages, and they have a new package out that I just want to tell you all about.
Yeah.
It's called the Bullet Barbecue and Bourbon.
Oh, you got me. It's a trifecta of fun right there.
Doesn't that sound fab?
It does.
These guys, you start the morning with the shooting plate. Then you head off and you have barbecue lunch, of course. And then after lunch, you head over to the Bullet Distillery at Fitzweller for, of course, bourbon to top everything off.
When, where, and how do I sign up?
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm calling my travel agent and hooking that up.
I'm telling you, they really just do a fabulous job with their tours. I know there are other people too, but Tim Hagan and those guys over there at Kentucky Bourbon Boys have they really seem to be doing it right for sure. And they are all over Facebook and Instagram, so they aren't hard to find. Kentucky Bourbon Boys.
Wow.
Right.
The other one more tidbit that I found, which you guys may have already heard about, and this isn't Kentucky related. This is Missouri related.
Ooh.
Apparently, the Missouri governor decided that they were going to have Missouri bourbon, and it's going to be characterized that it must be mashed, fermented, distilled, aged, and bottled right there in Missouri. It has to age in an oak barrel that's made in Missouri. And as of January, all the corn that goes into it must be grown in Missouri.
Oh, well, that's a nice gimmick.
And it's going to be Missouri bourbon.
That's a nice gimmick.
Yeah, kind of a cool little deal. I think they just signed the law maybe in the last few weeks. So
everybody,
anyway, something to look forward to.
Yeah, everybody trying to find their niche, trying to find their market. So, Beth Underwood, thank you so much. We're going to do this again. We want to have you on and talk to you. We'll be a smarter next time and not be in a loud bar. But Talk Bourbon to Me, 1, 2, and 3. How do people find that and find you on the socials?
Well, I'm on Facebook at Facebook/Talk Bourbon. You can catch me on my website is just talkbourbon.com. That's the easiest way to just hook up there. You can email me at beth@talkbourbon.com. And I'm on Instagram at Beth Underwood Book.
Wonderful.
Awesome. So you mentioned you might give us a copy of the book to pass along.
You got it. And I only have one. I have Talk Bourbon to Me 1, Talk Bourbon to Me 2, and then I'm working on 3.
Okay.
So I'm happy if you all would like to give away a copy of 1 and 2. I'm more than happy to supply those.
You got it. So we will find a couple lucky listeners and pass a couple of those copies on, and we'll let you know. But like I said, Beth, we appreciate you hanging out with us, and then we're going to do this again because you're down there in the epicenter, and we'll try to get some bourbon news from you. And next time we'll try to we'll arrange a tasting. We'll get something you have on the shelf, and we'll all do a tasting together and talk about it. How's that sound?
That sounds wonderful. I cannot wait.
Excellent.
This has been great fun. I sure appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, it's absolutely our pleasure, Beth. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Beth.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Be well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right.
She was amazing.
Isn't that fun?
She's got so much knowledge from her books, and all the research that she's done. Just the amount of stuff that she has, in her repertoire. I can only imagine the conversations that we'll be having here in the future. Cool to have her on.
No, it's Jackie checked in on the Facebook,
Hey,
and one of my
Jackie.
fraternity brothers, Pat Maley,
Hey.
Frauder number 1. He's checking in there.
I'll have to ask you about that
it's
later.
cool. No, it's we were the charter. We were the charter. The founding charter, so he was
nice.
scroll number 1. He was the first guy.
Nice.
So he's number 1.
He's number 1. So
And
he's John Hancock.
He does not let you forget it. But he deserves
I'm
it.
number 1. Thank you for joining us.
All
man.
props to that for sure. And but just a taste. That was it was too loud. I wanted to keep Beth on, and they turned up the volume. I think.
That they did that on purpose. No,
Did they
just
turn it
turned
back down?
Yeah. I can't hear it. It may have been just the song itself, but
It seemed as though the second we started recording, they turned the volume up on the music in the bar. Now it seems like it's down a little bit more. So, okay.
Stranger Things, man. Stranger
But
Things.
so we were going to do just a taste. We were going to do it with Beth, but
Yes. And I haven't
I
done
just
it.
I just figured it was too noisy and doing that. I'm just amazed that doing the phone and taking a call on a remote worked. I'm utterly impressed with myself for that. I'm going to break my arm patting myself on the back.
Well done
for that
my
one.
friend. So I haven't done any research on what we have in our hands right now.
All right.
But what do we have in our hands?
It's the Quiet Man.
Quiet
It's
Man.
an Irish whiskey. Yeah, you ordered up a Quiet Man. It's an Irish whiskey, so it's not a bourbon. That's the other reason I cut Beth loose, too, is because it's a whiskey, not a bourbon.
True.
And I figured, when we drink with her, let's do bourbons, because she's Talked Bourbon to Me, the name of the book.
She's down. She's
After you called that up, and we ordered it, I'm like, well, that was really freaking stupid.
That's on me, though. That's
No, I should have. I'm a very smart man.
Matt, you're a moron.
Anyway,
But,
Mary
Quiet Man.
chimed in as well, so your wife's
Nice.
watching. Be careful.
Oh,
All right, so we
okay.
got. No, it's just what we do anyway. All right, so we have just given it a sniff because I told you I have this at home. I actually got a bottle for Tim
Yes.
as a gift,
So
and
it's
I
a-
enjoyed it, and I got it for myself for at home.
All right, so
I like an Irish whiskey.
So you married this one.
I did. I married this one.
All right, fair enough.
So Irish whiskeys. What are your impressions of Irish whiskeys? Whiskeys. I haven't even gotten there yet, and I'm whiskeys. What's your impression of Irish whiskeys generally?
Irish whiskeys to me are very similar to a Scotch, where they have that kind of a leathery feel to them.
Right.
Almost. That's where my taste bud takes me. That's where my palate takes me. They kind of taste like a Scotch at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And that's me personally. But every Irish whiskey is different. It could be a Jameson or what have you.
Sure.
But this is more of a craft. whiskey.
Yeah, it's a small. Oh, it is smaller.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's on a smaller batch, so it might have a different flavor note to it than
Okay.
what I'm used to. I've never had it.
Right.
I've never had the Quiet Man.
So your scotches over from Scotland, they're more on the generally on the peatier side. You get much more peat in a Scotch. The Irish whiskeys, to me, and again, this is just my very amateurish interpretation,
You're fine.
are a little lighter usually. And I thought they were fairly strong, and then we started doing bourbon the way we started doing, and then I went back to the Irish, and I'm like, oh, these are soft. These are nice. These are.
But this particular whiskey.
Oh, but they'll catch up on you just as fast.
Yeah. But this particular whiskey is actually it's matured in a bourbon barrel, anyways.
Okay.
An American oak barrel.
Oh,
so,
are they?
Yes. So
All right.
it's got a mellow, smooth feel to it because it's been put into that bourbon. Oh, look! I got.
Oh, I do one as well.
I got 2 nipples on this one.
Oh, yoy. Dude, that's not PC. All right.
Fair enough. I'll be quiet.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But they do, like I mentioned here earlier, we're at the Hamlin Pub in Rochester, Michigan, and they pour a perfect pint. Not everybody does. Not everybody takes the time to pour a perfect pint.
Nope.
And they do. They go through the process, and it's in a proper glass, and it's
Cheers.
the right size head, just cresting over the rim of the glass, yada, yada, yada. Perfect pint. So well done, well played.
Thank you.
Hamlin Pub.
Yep.
All right, so what else? So it's more of a craft. It's a smaller. The Quiet Man, it's smaller.
Yep, it's
it
a
looks
small
like there's 2 varieties.
Let me close that there.
Is there more than one variety?
It looks like there is. So,
I think it's just an aged one.
Yeah, one is an 8-year-old. It's a single malt Irish whiskey.
Okay.
That's the Quiet Man. And then the other one is a traditional, which is what we are doing tonight.
Oh, we're doing the traditional?
Traditional Irish whiskey tonight. So they have the 8-year single malt as well. So aged 8 years, I'm sure that might be a little bit better.
Okay.
But some of their the lettering that they have on their bottles is very reminiscent to what we were talking with Beth on. It was Bullet.
Okay.
So they actually have the lettering on the bottle as well.
Okay.
Kind of looks like what Bullet does with their bottles.
Right.
So,
Quiet Man. Do you know what Quiet Man is? Do you know Quiet Man?
no, educate me, please.
It's a movie.
Quiet Man.
John Wayne.
Really?
It's a John Wayne movie. Yeah, shot there in Ireland.
Okay. I did not know that.
He's an American that comes back. It's a classic. It's overdone and it's cheeseball. You look at it now and it's just like it's a little cringy.
Oh.
With the Irish stereotypes and cliches.
Sure.
It's a little cringy, but it's John Wayne. John Wayne is pretty cringy, generally speaking.
Right. Take my lungs. Take them both.
So, John Wayne is pretty cringy generally when you look back at it now. But, so Quiet Man, that's a movie with John Wayne.
Yeah,
There's a little town where it was filmed, and there's still a lot of the sites. And, this is the house where they shot that, and this is the house where they shot that. You can do the little Quiet Man tour.
Really?
Yep. So, but tell me more about the bourbon, about the whiskey.
About the whiskey itself. Well, John Mulgrew, he is the inventor and original distiller of the Quiet Man.
Okay.
He spent a number of 50 years working as a barman in pubs in Belfast. And actually, he would take his son, Clarence Mulgrew, with him into the clubs as well. So, Ciaran is the founder of the Quiet Man, but his father created Quiet Man itself.
Okay.
So, it's been around for quite a long time, it looks like. I'm trying to find out when they originally were created here, and I apologize.
Thank you. All right, a waitress rolling in with a fresh Guinness
look at
there.
that.
Oh, that's
boy.
brilliant.
So, oh my goodness. Bartenders, they tend to see a lot of things, and they get a lot of opinions of different patrons of the establishment that they're in. So,
right.
Everyone's got a different palate. Everyone's got a different flavor note. So I don't know if you take notes as to what their patrons were thinking about the certain whiskey that they were distilling, but they probably found one that worked really well, and they said, you know what, let's get this out there. I'm trying to still find when it was created. I do apologize.
All right.
But the code of the Quiet Man, they do it. They keep it very close to the chest, very family oriented. So that is them. I can't find when it originally came out, and I apologize, man.
Oh, it's all right. So I'm looking at The Quiet Man. It stars Maureen O'Hara. So it's a romantic comedy, John Wayne rom-com.
John Wayne rom-com?
Yeah. So it actually is. It is kind of funny, and it's as romantic as John Wayne gets. But you can visit the town where it was shot. I mean, the movie itself is a fictional town, but I mean, there's an actual town you can visit. We did. We went there. I went there twice. I went there with my sister, and then when we went with the whole family, we went back there and spent 2-3 days.
Nice.
Just taking it in.
That's a bucket list item for my wife and I to get out that way and visit the homeland. Even though I found out that there's not as much Irish in me as I thought, but there's still a little bit. So I'm still good. I'm still good in that regard. I'm still a little bit Irish.
So what are we sniffing?
Oh, what are we sniffing?
What do you smell?
I'm getting a bit of a fruity feel to it.
Yeah.
You get a little fruity. Oh, no, I just sniffed the actual.
And now there's boogers.
Yep.
Because you got your nose in it.
I'm going to smell that for the rest of the night. Thank goodness.
There you are.
Yeah, I'm getting it's got a small fruity flavor to it.
And the color is very, very light.
Very light.
It's compared to like many things in barrels. The legs on it.
I was going to mention the legs are actually very weak. It looks like it doesn't hang on there very hard.
I don't know. Mine's hanging on.
Is it?
Maybe she wanted yours down.
It's the light.
Yeah, no, it's hanging on. It's hanging on.
It is hanging on.
Decent legs. So it's got some oils in it, right?
Yes, it does. That it does.
All right, you want to give it a try?
I will give it a shot because you've had this. I haven't. So.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'll tell you what. For me, that's a typical whiskey, but it's a much smoother typical whiskey. And then now I'm getting a little bit of the burn on the back end.
Right.
That's a really nice little burn.
What else? What else are you tasting in there?
I'm getting a bit of I'm still getting the flavor. I'm still getting the fruit flavor out of it.
You getting peat at all?
Not as much as I thought I would.
I am.
Are you?
I'm getting the peat. Yeah.
Are you?
And I love
You like peated whiskeys.
Yeah, it's and just being in Ireland, it's the fires, right? You go to all these little bed and breakfasts,
right?
And just each of the places they have all these little peat fires going, and it's pretty amazing. It's it's kind of cool. So yeah,
I just took my second sip.
Mm-hmm.
More of that flavor is starting to come out where the heat is just the same. Now I'm starting to feel a little more of that Scotch flavor to it. For me, that's just where my palate goes. That's my personal opinion. I'm getting more of a Scotchy type flavor.
Yeah, the Scotch flavor, for sure.
Yeah. Still good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good. I think I'm turning red as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Scotch.
That's the Irish in you.
That's the Irish
turning you red. One cocktail and you're red like a turnip.
Yeah, and?
Yeah, no, it's that's just how it works. There you go. What's the price point on this fella?
Oh, price point. It was actually not terrible. It's anywhere between $35, and if you go up to the 8-year, you're probably looking at about $45, $50.
Okay, that's reasonable when you're comparing it to the bourbon shenanigans that are going on. So
yeah, even on the 8-year, for less than $50 on the 8-year, that's a pretty good price point.
Yeah.
For a nice Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
If you're sick of the Jameson, you've always been drinking on it. You know what? Try something different, and this is a good replacement for that.
Yeah, I like it. I have it. Like I said, I picked it up. I bought it as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, that was I think
Mr. Batu.
Yeah, I think I'm not. Yeah, I went into the wine garden to see Tony.
Okay.
I just went. I didn't know it was Tony, and I was looking for an Irish whiskey because our friend Tim wrote a book about his Irish genealogy.
Oh.
Did you know that Tim wrote a book?
I did not know that. I would love to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote a book about his Irish genealogy. He just did it for himself, right? He researched. He's crazy with the research, and he researched his family back and back and back, and he turned it into a narrative. And he wrote it. And he has his family's history chronicled, and there's a couple interesting characters. There's 2 or 3 sets of strong characters that did some interesting things, And he took it, and he wanted to do it like a Christmas gift because he's got a big Irish Catholic family, so there's a bazillion of them, right? Mm-hmm. So he wanted to make copies of it for his cousins, so he went to a publisher, and he's like, I'd like to get this, I'd like to print this for, just a Christmas gift for my friends. And the publisher looked at it and said, yeah, sure, we can do that. And so the publisher called him back and said, you got something here, actually.
Wow.
If change it like this, and this, jazz this up a little bit, focus more on this. Wow. And more than just your family would be interested in it, and he did, and he sold a bunch of them.
It's a first-person narrative almost.
Yeah, well, it's So it's about not a first-person narrative, but it's a narration of the family history.
That's awesome.
And
to read that.
Yeah. So it turned. He was just doing it for a family gift, and the publisher was like, no, you jazz it up like this and like this.
Right.
More than just your family would read it. So. Anyway, long story longer. I wanted to get Tim a gift, and I went into the wine garden, and I hadn't been in there, on purpose to like really interact. And I started talking to Tony, and that's when he was like, oh, hey, he pulled out bottles of stuff, and he's pouring things for me. He doesn't know me from anybody, and he was just like super awesome. If you're in Michigan and near the east side, St. Clair Shores, the wine garden is a great spot.
It's right there on, is it Mac?
Yeah, right on Harper.
Harper.
On Harper.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's just south of 9, between 8 and 9 on Harper. So everybody around the country knows M&M 8 Mile. So it's about a half mile north of that.
Right. But the selection at the wine garden.
Amazing. Amazing. But no, he was so nice to me. And then he led me to this. I gave it to Tim, and, we had tried it. And then I was like, oh, I'm getting another one to take home.
Yeah.
But I like it because it's peaty. I like the peatiness of it. And when I'm not going, because I have 2 scotches in my cupboard, one really cheap and one decent one,
right?
And but when I want something a little peaty, I go for the quiet man.
No, as I continue to drink this,
yes,
what's always my go-to? Now, where does my palate always land is that vanilla feel, right? I always talk about that.
Right.
I am starting to feel that too. If you get, open it up a little bit with
I'm
some
throwing
ice.
two tiny little chunks of ice in there.
But the reason for the smoothness that there is because of the high malt.
It's a high malt in this?
It's a high malt in this. So that's why it's a little bit smoother than most Irish whiskeys.
Okay.
But I'm starting to feel get that vanilla flavor out of it.
Right.
And it's a sweet smell almost sometimes too. As probably open it up, you'll probably get a sweeter smell out of it. Mm-hmm. A sweeter nose, and that's probably because of the honey that you might be getting too. If you open it up a little bit. So
wow, okay, honey. See, now I got to read the notes because I'm like, okay, I buy the honey. I'm like, is that the power of suggestion or is it really in there? Is it like you tell me, there's pencil shavings. Oh yeah, I'm getting horse saddle too. Yeah, is it? You can
lavender. Oh my God,
you can sell me a. Hey, you want to buy a bridge in Brooklyn?
But definitely the warm finish. The warm finish is definitely there.
Yeah,
it's a really nice warm finish.
So when I drink at home, I always have got a one of those big ice cube makers, and so I always do it on the rocks at home, just so it lasts longer. Otherwise I'm nailing 2 or 3. If I put a big rock in it, I usually can keep myself to just doing just one as the ice melts and just enjoy it throughout the night.
You know what? There's enough ice in here. I think I can have another.
Yeah, that's happened. Not gonna lie, that's a reality that's came to play. But,
that is my reality, Mr. Flanagan.
Yeah.
No, this is actually a very good Irish whiskey. I would actually take this home myself.
Yeah.
This is not bad at all. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't said no to.
Oh yeah.
There's a few things that we wouldn't take home, but this one I would definitely bring home.
Already did.
So good for you, man.
Yeah. All right, there, the Man Cave Happy Hour. It's the website, mancavehappyhour.com. It's really simple.
Yep.
But there's T-shirts available at wearingfunny.com.
Wearingfunny.com, yes.
Then we're on the FaceSpace and Twitter. I think there's an Instagram that we need to remember what the password is to.
I'll work on that one.
Not very. There's too many.
It's not as active as the Facebook.
Too many.
The Facebook is very active.
Facebook and Twitter, we put stuff up on a regular basis.
Yes.
The Instagram, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
So but the website, mancavehappyhour.com. And well, it really just links to those other things. There's
really
not a
does.
whole lot on.
No.
But and wearing funny. Where's you get T-shirts? There's all kinds of T-shirts for Animal Talk and for the Man Cave and
Wonderful.
for being on the lodge with it. I made one of those.
Yes, you did. I saw
I got
that.
a pierogi power. I got a pierogi power
That's very,
shirt on
very
there.
Hamtramck of you,
What
my
else?
friend.
I have? Oh, some Beer on the Penguin T-shirts too.
We actually have a lot of things happening in the next few weeks as far as you and I go. And,
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of events that are happening. Well, upcoming in the next couple of episodes, I believe we're going to have somebody here with us to talk about Magnum 7.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Fun little fundraiser that's going on in Hamtramck. And, you know, I'm one of the guest DJs out there. And you DJ'd it last year as a guest DJ. So
we did. Gnip, a friend of the show. He's been on the show.
Yes,
Gnip
he has.
from 93.9 The River. He'll be there for that as well. We'll try to get him in.
Yep.
So our friend Paul chimed in.
Hi, Paul.
On Facebook. And
Thanks, Paul.
Pat Maley, he told us to try the Connor McDavid. And he said he's going to join us one time to do one of these.
Okay.
Patrick, I would love to have you, and that would be cool. So we'll arrange we got to find a bar that has, or hell, I'll just buy a bottle and do it do one of those at the house.
Because we can.
Yeah. So either we'll find a pub that has the Connor McDavid, or we'll do one at the house. Yeah, but cool.
Fantastic.
What else we got?
You know, there's so much going on. Just pay attention to the socials.
There you are.
mancavehappyhour.com, the Facebook page. You know, pay attention. You know, we're there to help and just kind of help you guys to understand a little bit more about bourbon as we are complete novices.
As we learn, as we fumble through ecstasy here.
Yes.
All right. So,
Jamie, thank you. Cannot thank you for more than you ever know. I cannot thank you.
Oh man, Fox. Cheers.
Cheers, man.